got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
The American people would never vote for socialism. He said, under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program.
The Prepper Podcast, episode 103. The Prepper Podcast is an up-to-date survival podcast based on military, wilderness, and modern-day survival and may be found at theprepperpodcast.com. I'm Ken Jensen, and this is the podcast about everything survival. My goal is to teach you strategies on self-reliance and to develop survival skills and critical thinking in everyone, resulting in a more resilient and enjoyable life. This is episode 103. So, have you ever wondered if you will freeze when you have to decide when to bug out? Bugging out is an absolute last resort in preparedness, and most of us know that. But you should consider leaving home for disasters such as fires, flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, nuclear disasters, and civil unrest. Not only do I discuss this, but I also tell you 11 reasons that you should not, absolutely not, bug out. Because you don't want to needlessly leave home, then have to leave your vehicle in the road, and end up as a crippled, easy target in the wilderness. The show notes may be found at theprepperpodcast.com/103 or at theprepperpodcast.com/bug out or not. Today I decide to begin discussing about bugging out. Discussions about bugging out. Right now, I'm putting some stuff together for a full course on bugging out that will be located at my website, bestsurvivalskillstraining.com. So while this stuff is on the top of my mind, I thought I would like to have a conversation about many different aspects of bugging out. Over the next few weeks, I will probably end up going over if you should bug out, selecting and packing your bug out bag, bug out vehicles, bug out locations, and even more. So let's get into the topic. Easily determine if you should bug out in a disaster. Should you bug in or should you bug out? You have learned from the best. You have a well-stocked bug out bag. You have a keen eye and can pay attention to everything in your surroundings. You listen to all the local radio streams. You know everything that's going on around you. You can get out of Dodge right away, before most people even know what has happened. But leaving your home, also known as bugging out, is a big deal. You have a much better chance of survival if you stay in your primary residence or bug in. Only leave as a last resort when absolutely necessary. Let's talk about some terrible disasters that will require bugging out. If absolutely necessary, you may finally commit to bugging out. The purpose of bugging out is to get out of the way of a threat or a great danger that will become a real problem if you stay where you're at. These threats can be natural or social disasters. If a disaster happens, don't wait until it is too late to make the decision. You need to know this right away when you're going to do it. So let's talk about this stuff ahead of time. Natural disasters happen, so let's be ready for them. Natural disasters are proven to occur many times without warning. You may be required to bug out in many different natural disasters. Some of these disasters would be fire, a tornado or a hurricane, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and floods. Social creatures also create social disasters. So let's react quickly to them. Because we are constantly designing and testing new things, people create their own disasters. Because we are social creatures, we get caught up in the mob mentality. Mob mentality, our creativity, our social structures, and our own greed are the cause of a large number of disasters, like nuclear disasters, economic collapse, and civil unrest. So let's go into some of these disasters that I've talked about already. Let's go back to the natural disasters. Fire. If you're going to have a fire in your home, you're going to get out as soon as possible. If you don't have anything stocked up, ready to just grab and go, then you're going to lose everything that you have. There's a good chance that whatever is in your home is gone. Unless it is in a fireproof, waterproof safe, it is going to be gone. So a fire is a real possibility where you will have to bug out. Fires will destroy your home, but they will not require you to bug out to a remote location. So you have local locations that you can go to. Tornadoes or hurricanes. Hurricanes are mostly regional in scale, and when you bug out, you're going to be bugging out probably hours away from where you're at. I personally have been in a hurricane situation where I bugged out, and I bugged out about 3 hours away from my home. Now with tornadoes, it's a regional storm, but the tornadoes are local. And if you have a tornado show up, you may not be bugging out. You can consider it bugging in, but we have a tornado shelter, and that is what I use when we are under tornado warning. With volcanic eruptions, many times you have warning, and when you do have warning, you can get out of the way. Even if you don't have warning, unless something comes down on you, most of the time you have plenty of time to get out of the way. This would be another time where you would bug out. Earthquakes. Many times you have warning with earthquakes from smaller quakes, but most of the time you don't have the ability to know when an earthquake happens. Well, if you happen to make it through, you're still going to need to bug out. The thing with bugging out during an earthquake is there is a chance that your car will not get you there. With flooding, if there's flooding, almost every time in normal day-to-day situations, you have plenty of notification. Many times you get flash flooding. Flash flooding, you have almost no notification and it just comes through. But if you're ready for it, you may just be able to bug out when necessary. Flash flooding can take your home. Nuclear disasters. Nuclear disasters are typically, when it happens, you don't have advance notice because they're fighting something at the nuclear power plant. That is something that you're probably not going to be privy to right away. However, if it happens, you can know exactly what steps you're going to take, and you know what routes that you have to take, and you'll even know if you're in immediate danger. If you are outside of a circle of immediate danger, then it would probably be prudent for you to bug out if you think that the winds are coming your way. With economic collapse, you have advance warning. You have a lot of advance warning. You have all of us prepper guys telling you that it's on its way. If it occurs, which I think it will actually occur slower than most people, but if it does occur, what you're really going to have to deal with is rioting and stuff like that, which brings me into civil unrest. With civil unrest, you will have notice most of the time unless you're in the inner city. If you're in the inner city, you need to get out. But if you are not in the inner city, you will probably have advance notice before the rioting comes your way. Once it starts coming your way, you probably need to get out of Dodge. You probably need to get away. When you choose to get away, are you going to end up going through it, or are you going to go away from it? That depends on how much preparation you've done. If you don't choose quickly, you may suffer. It is extremely important to decide early when to leave and when to stay. You must be resolute in your decision as well. If you don't know what to do beforehand, you will not decide quickly enough. If you don't decide quickly enough, you will probably pay the consequences. The problem could catch up to you. With the rioting, that problem, you know it's on its way, but you did not get out of the way in time. Well, guess what? It caught up to you, and now you're caught in it. You could get stuck in traffic. This happens all the time with hurricanes. If you're in a hurricane, there's a good chance that there's going to be a mass exodus. And in a mass exodus, everybody's going to take the interstate. And when everybody takes the interstate, you decided that you were going to take the interstate. Guess what? Everybody's stuck. Traffic jams, wrecks, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's stuck. These interstates that we have in our country are not designed for heavy traffic flow. They are designed for normal traffic flow, which is why we get traffic jams every time that there is work or every time that there is a wreck on the road. Don't get stuck in traffic. You need to have backup plans and things like that. That's how you're going to get away from traffic. You could fail to get the necessary gear. We're still talking about ways that you may suffer the consequences that you may pay. You could fail to get the necessary gear that you need. If you know that you're going to bug out, you know what gear you're going to need. If you know you're going to bug in, you know what you're going to need. If you're going to have to go to a hotel room, if you know that you're going to have to go to the wilderness, whatever situation arises, you know that you're going to have the necessary gear. So if you choose quickly, you will be able to grab your gear, and you may be able to grab more than what you were expecting to need. So you may be able to get more than what you even need, which means that your comfort level is going to be much higher, or you're going to have backups upon backups. That's always a good thing. Now, getting home is actually usually more important than the well-known getting out of Dodge scenario. Over half of your day is probably spent away from home. Let's say like at work, or if you're out doing errands. People spend more than half of their day away from home, especially during the weekdays. You need a get-home plan just as badly as you need a bug-out plan. Always be prepared for bad stuff to happen when you are not at home. The same ways that you could plan to leave danger, you must be ready to get home. There are many reasons that you do not want to bug out. Don't leave a comfortable home for subpar shelter in a remote place that you don't even know. Just because you can bug out doesn't mean you should bug out. So let's go over 11 reasons why you should not bug out. Bugging in should only be done if absolutely necessary, which doesn't happen very often. Here are 11 reasons why. Gear is heavy and you are not that strong. Parked vehicles don't break down. First aid needs clean, secure shelter. You are an easy target. You can't be trusted. I'll explain more on these. Being hot or cold can kill you. Sleeping on dirt sucks. You have communities where you are. Wilderness survival skills are not common. The middle of nowhere will not be the middle of nowhere. And as you track your food, it will leave. So let's go a little bit deeper into each of these reasons. Gear is heavy and you are not that strong. The strongest person alive can only carry so much gear in their bag. And you're not the strongest person alive. I'm sure that I'm not talking to the strongest person alive. You will run out of food, and the weight of your gear adds up extremely quickly. Most people that go on long hiking vacations realize that they carry too much gear with them whenever they do. So the weight of your gear will add up quickly, and you cannot carry enough food. You cannot carry enough food to sustain you, and you cannot carry enough food to sustain your entire family. That's why bugging out utilizes a 72-hour emergency bag that is designed to make you through a few days. Bugging out is a few days in length. It's not months and weeks and years. Then you've got a bug out location that you've got to get to that can hold you over for that amount of time. Parked vehicles, you know what? I got another point that I want to talk about. Your home has the room for storing lots of emergency supplies. Your bag doesn't. Okay, so your home, you're going to do a lot of preparations on your home. You're going to have all kinds of food storage. You're going to have all kinds of stuff. But the problem is when you have to bug out, you can't take your home with you. This is another reason why you should not bug out. The next one, parked vehicles don't break down. Vehicles fail at the worst possible time. Tires also do. I've never had a vehicle break down on me when I'm right beside a beach in a bathing suit where I can easily go and hang out at the beach while I call AAA. It's always in the middle of winter, ice and snow all over the place. The one time that I may have forgotten my jacket, and it's always whenever I am in a hurry. Even if you have the best maintained car around, you could get stuck in traffic with your vehicle and trailer full of food. At this point, you can say goodbye to your supplies because you are not carrying your trailer full of food. You've got all kinds of people that are around. They're going to come after you for your trailer because they're going to realize what's in that trailer. Or you're going to be leaving. You're going to take as much as you can, and you're going to leave the rest of the trailer because you're stuck and you need to get out of Dodge now. And you can't be waiting on stuck traffic, even though you probably took the interstate when I told you not to. You have a better chance of leaving your vehicle stranded on the road than making it all the way to your bug out location. So, vehicles break down. First aid needs a clean, secure shelter. I will take you to a hospital if you get hurt, not the stables. They are cleaner and they provide climate protection. You got less chance of infection because of that. It's just a better place. If you stay home, you are near a hospital more than likely. Or you know where the closest one is. If you're bugging out, you're probably going to a more remote location. And if you're going to a more remote location, guess what? You're probably further away from first aid. I don't spend much time at the hospital. I try to stay away from the hospital. I would probably be the opposite of someone who likes going to the hospital. I don't even remember off the top of my head right now what it's called. However, I try to spend as little time in the hospital as possible. I don't want to get sick. But guess what? When it comes to trauma, hospitals are great. They take care of issues that otherwise you wouldn't be able to take care of. When bugging out, you can be stuck in the wilderness for days or weeks without the ability to move. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to be at home so that you can get to a hospital? Or would you prefer to be stuck out in the wilderness and not even be able to move your arms or legs because you fell off the side of a cliff? I know which one I would prefer. That's another reason why you should bug in instead of bug out. Next reason is that you are an easy target. At home, you can secure your property, you know what resources you have available, and you can defend your property. You know exactly what's available to defend your property, and you have the foresight right now, right as you're listening to me, you have the knowledge and foresight to fix up your property to be more defensive. You're already familiar with your land. The best defense you can hope for when bugging out is a good recon plan. All right, recon plans, this is called reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is it's a tactic where you basically are looking around. When you're bugging out, if you're an individual, recon kind of occurs as you're walking. But if you are in a group, recon is where one of you or two of you or a small group of you go out and you scan the area prior to everybody else making their maneuvers. Your best defense you can hope for when bugging out is this recon and fast reflexes if something goes wrong. The next thing is that you cannot be trusted. That's right, you cannot be trusted. If you want me to trust you, don't come into my neighborhood with an AR-15 or an AK-47, personal armor, bug-out bags, and night vision goggles when the crap hits the fan. I'm already on high alert. You think that I'm going to look at somebody like you and think that I want you in my neighborhood, think that I want you in my group? I don't trust you. I won't trust you, and I will probably end up putting a bullet in your head if you came into my house like that. I'm not an aggressive person. However, you don't come into my home uninvited, and you definitely don't come strapped to the hilt with weaponry, armor, bug-out bags, and goggles. I will never trust you. And that's what a lot of you guys think that you're going to do when you're bugging out. I don't know you. I don't trust your intentions. I already trust my neighbors, though. You should have stayed with yours. You should have stayed with your neighbors that you know, that you trust, the ones that trust you, the ones that can help you, the ones that you can help. Being hot or cold can kill you. Your house has a thermostat. Outside does not have a thermostat. You have to deal with whatever weather you're given. Rain, sleet, snow, thunderstorms. There's no way of getting away from this stuff. In the cold, you will have to bundle up. If it rains or you sweat, you can easily get hypothermia, or you can also get bronchitis. I was just recently running out in the cold and I got bronchitis, and I was out for about a week. I wasn't all the way out, I just couldn't record anything. In the hot, you have to take precautions not to overheat yourself. Extreme temperatures will dehydrate your body. And you're not going to find enough water unless you have a perfect source. And if you have a perfect source, you better have a filter on you. Extreme temperatures will dehydrate you, and dehydration can be very bad. But guess what? I mean extreme temperatures in the hot or cold. In the cold, you don't even feel like you're getting dehydrated, but you are. Sleeping on dirt sucks. At home, you have a perfectly nice bed, or if you're in the doghouse, you might be sleeping on the couch, or in your recliner, or even on the floor. And because you're such a hard, rough, and tumble guy, you know, you prepper guys, you're all hardcore, you even have pillows to use. But instead, you think that you're going to go out and sleep for nights and nights and nights in the dirt, in fire ants, with spiders or scorpions, or if it's the right time of the year, snakes, even a hammock, even in a hammock where you're up off the ground, you can get eaten up by mosquitoes, or you can wick all of the temperature, all the heat away from your body by the wind. So even the more enjoyable ways of camping can go wrong in a bug out situation. It's high stress. You're uncomfortable. You will get no sleep. And then you will get moody and your health will deteriorate. You have communities where you are. Neighbors will come together. Remember, I told you, you should have stayed with your neighbors. You have community there. Neighbors will come together into a community focused on defending their neighborhood and overcoming adversity. So stay where you are trusted in the community. And I would recommend right now you work on that trust. You build a friendship with those people so they don't become the enemy. Wilderness survival skills are not that common. No, they are not. And even a lot of you guys that think that you have wilderness skills don't know them as well as you should for a bug out scenario. You need to have a wilderness survival skill down. You need to have all of your wilderness survival skills down. If not, most others aren't going to have them down either. So who are you going to rely on? If you are going to rely on you, you need to have your skills hard. You need to be able to make a fire when it's windy and raining outside. You need to be able to build a shelter in the dark without any light. Who are you going to rely on if you don't know how to do all this stuff? Because most other people aren't thinking about all this either. You can already maintain your property to a basic level of functionality. Stay there if you can. You've probably already worked on stuff in your home. You're a minor handyman. So you can do a little bit of everything around your house. But can you do a little bit of everything out in the wilderness? In your house, doing a little bit of everything just means keeping the walls up and keeping your family comfortable. In the wilderness, doing a little bit of everything means that if you do anything wrong, you need to do a little bit of everything very, very well. If you do anything wrong, you're dead. And so is your family. The next thing is the middle of nowhere will not be the middle of nowhere. If you're going to head to the hills when crap hits the fan, when the stink hits the fan, then guess what? So is everyone else. Everyone else has the same idea. After a couple weeks, everyone will be hunting and foraging. Even the people that did not think that they were going to go to the wilderness, a lot of them are actually going to be pushed into the wilderness. And when they're there, when they are doing the hunting and foraging and learning the skills of doing such, yes, they may be behind, but some people have the tenacity to learn that stuff on the fly. And while they're hunting and foraging, you're hunting and foraging. And guess what? Everybody with the hunting and foraging resources will be very, very scarce. Rural roads will also be a very good place to get mugged if you find private hunting grounds. You will be shot by the owners if you're on private hunting grounds. So when everyone is out in the wilderness, how do you think they're going to travel? Think they're going to just travel through the woods all the time? You think they're going to all walk the interstate? I bet you that's the last place people are going to want to walk. Rural roads are going to be the main traveled, especially like the really nice gravel roads. They're going to be the main travel routes. And guess what? That is a great place to be mugged. And if you find private hunting grounds, you're going to be shot by the owners more than likely. Because they're not just ticked off that you're on their property. They could be in the same situation that you're in, and now you are encroaching on their livelihood. You could possibly be shot. Now, as you track down your food, it's going to leave you. You're in an area looking for food, it's going to leave that area. Finding game in late hunting season is already difficult for people. That's why everybody wants to go in the very beginning. That's why people love going during bow season and during black powder season, because they get there before everybody else with the better rifles. It's harder to find somebody, or it's harder to find the animals late in that hunting season. Wildlife will pick up the scents and movements of people, and they're going to realize that they're in danger, and they're going to go away because they will see you as a threat. The smart game will leave fairly quickly out of the area. The dumb game, though, will die out extremely quickly. So now where are you going to get your food? So should you bug in or should you bug out? The decision is all yours. I've spent much of the time telling you that you should consider bugging in instead. But there are times that you should bug out to get rid of obvious dangers to your life. When the time comes for you to make a choice to stay or go, hopefully you have considered all of this beforehand so you can secure your own home or can quickly get the heck out of Dodge before anybody else. And if you couldn't take show notes because you were on the go, don't worry. I took detailed show notes for you that you can find at theprepperpodcast.com. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to subscribe to me using the Apple Podcast app. If you want to thank me for the amazing free information I bring to you, please share my podcast on Facebook or Twitter, or give me a review at theprepperpodcast.com/iTunes or on Stitcher. And with that, this was Ken Jensen of theprepperpodcast.com teaching you strategies on self-reliance so that you can build a more resilient and enjoyable life. Have a wonderful week. This is Ken signing out.